Hey Sedge, I got my parallel edge guide here. Got a couple situations I'm having with it. Got any tips?
Well, let's define the situations. These fences aren't adjustable, right?
No.
Okay, so is it when you have it attached to your router? Okay, this space here, and the reason you have this space here is if you're splitting the bit's diameter, say for a rabbet or a profile, you only want to use part of it. But what I like to do is have this closed down, because what I always have found that, see that fence right there? I have a tendency, is this what's happening? You're having a tendency to walk it?
It walks, yeah.
And especially at the very end, right? It kind of wants to dive in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so guess what? I got a fix for that.
Awesome. Hey Sedge, is this the material we're going to be using?
Absolutely. This is, do you know what it is? What
Not a clue.
What does it look like?
Well, it looks like, I don't know, fiberglass, kind of plastic?
It's plastic, and think about PVC, but it's really compressed. It's not porous. This is called starboard.
Okay.
And I have a hunk of it around here somewhere. I just ripped this up to the dimension I wanted it. And we'll take a quick dimension because I forgot, but it's 40 millimeters wide.
Okay.
What starboard is used on a lot of yachts, boats, for bait reservoirs, fish tanks on there, catch tanks, but also stair treads. And you'll notice right here, there's a little bit of knurling or roughness to it.
Right.
Okay. This stuff is unbelievable. I've used it for so many jigs over the years. It's impervious to, it will not glue. Nothing sticks to it.
Oh.
In fact, I get some stain on here that will just wipe off. Okay, starboard is wonderful for jig making. It's also slippery. It mills wonderfully with all woodworking tools. So, I always have some in my shop to use.
Cool.
Now, what we're gonna do is I took a measurement, 40 millimeters, because what I wanna do is I wanna get more registration. Okay, this is only 20 millimeters.
Okay.
I kinda wanna double it.
Boom.
But I also wanna make it longer. Okay, like this whole overall is 220 millimeters. I think I'm gonna make this about 280. Give what? An extra 30 millimeters on either side.
Oh, 30 on each side, yeah.
Okay, see how I can act quick now? Okay, first thing we're gonna do, so we're gonna tap this onto this.
Okay.
But I'm gonna teach you a lot about milling something or machining something with the drill press from the front face. So I'm just gonna pry this off, and it's all press fit on there, just like that. Okay, and you're gonna notice there's 3 holes to choose from.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we're gonna line this up, but this will be the front face.
Okay.
Okay, and you're gonna understand this because I want to machine these through holes and countersink or counter bore at the same time. But I want to register it from the front face first, and you'll see in a few minutes what I'm talking about.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now, this is the face that you want. I'm gonna mark it, and you'll understand all of this as we go through this. Okay, so I want to mount this to here, but I want this to be flush here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right here, and I'm gonna bring this just like this.
Okay.
Okay, and I need a deep reach clamp. These clamps are wonderful. We're only gonna put a couple of screws in here. Okay, we'll bring this in like this, and I'm gonna have you clamp that one on there, right there, Big D.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Now, remember that wonderful bit that we used, because this here has to be on center? Chris, come in here and get this. See this right here? I'll bore one, you bore one. You remember what the name of that bit is?
Self-centering.
Yep, and what's the name of it?
I forgot.
A Vic's bit. So what I want is, I just want to take this. I don't want to drill it all the way through because that's my face. I just want a center line. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that, and you're going to drill that hole right there with the Vic's bit, because that automatically centers. Don't drill it all the way through. You just want a mark, basically. Good. Okay, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this apart. So you see that mark right there?
Perfect.
And then sometimes I do this because I am using that just as a reference point. I'll highlight that like that, darken it a little, and you can see how that works. These are the screws we're going to be using.
Okay.
And you see this head right here? That's going to be recessed into here. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is because I need to counterbore this first, then drill the center hole for the screw. Because if I did that and we marked this, say this was from the back, and we drilled it with this bit here, okay, how are we going to center that? That's why I use a lot of bits that have a spur point like that. Because I know once I reference that, I can now drill out for the shank of that bit with this brad point bit because I can center it. And you see how this all comes together at the drill press in a few minutes. One of the things that I always suggest, and you'll probably need to get one of these, Big D, this is one of my favorite measuring tools because it takes scales out of it. Watch. Just turn it on. I always zero it out. I get it in metric, but I can also bring it into inches and in fractions. So I know when I measure the head of this, how to choose. I do this all the time. I choose the head size here, okay, and that's 9.48 millimeters. But if I want it in inches, say I get some fractional bits, I can just take that and look, that's a 3/8 fractional.
Oh, okay.
It's a great way to convert, wicked quick.
Yeah.
So I took a measurement of that, and then I took a measurement on the threads here, and that's 3.86. What is it in fraction? And it's 19/128. Okay, I get close because I can measure my bits same way, so I get the right one. In other words, I don't want a lot of slop in there because I'm machining this, so it'll go on there absolutely perfect.
Cool.
So there you go. On a drill press, you have so much control. All right, and you know what? I was thinking about this the other day. We'll do a drill press primer someday in the near future.
Okay.
But what I want to do is I want to show you how to set the depth of this a super simple way. See that point we have right there? That's where I'm going to bring this down, and I know I can see that. That's my center. That spur finds that center, right?
Perfect.
Okay, but now we got to control the depth for that head. We want it recessed. I don't want to go too far. Just enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to loosen up. This is a really nice feature on this drill press because I'm going to take this, Chris, hopefully you can see this. I'm going to go in about to the top of that force in a bit. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to lock it in. So guess what? Now I got controlled depth.
Nice.
Okay? Pretty simple.
Cool.
How about if I drill one and then you drill one?
Let's do it.
Okay. Here's the one thing I wanted to point out to you, Big D. Because we're using this Forstner bit with that spur point, see how I have now a center? And what I always do is because we're going to be drilling that with that brad point bit in a minute, and I'll get a perfect through hole that way.
Oh, nice.
Okay? Right in dead center of that. So this will be now recessed.
Pretty cool.
On that Forstner bit, we just counterbored that, and you have that little spur point. That's the exact center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that exact center because that little spur on that brad point will find its equilibrium, and I'll get that through hole exactly in the center where I want it, so it'll mic up perfect. So let's do it.
All right.
So there you go, and I'm going to have you do the next one, Big D.
All right.
Okay, so before we move on, let's just check to see if it's countersunk enough. Oh my God, check this one out.
All right.
Look how that just mics up absolutely perfect.
Boom.
You're a machining pro. Now a couple of quick tweaks. Okay, Big D, let's check to see how we machine these with these holes right here.
Okay.
Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this screw and we're going to use these, I always call these aircraft locking nuts because they have that little nylon in there. And let's see how we did. We'll get that one on there. And if you ask me, that's a perfect lineup. So we'll take this and we'll put it on, and then we'll go to the vise and tighten these up.
Okay, sounds good.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use a screwdriver and these nuts, and I use aircraft locking washers. Okay, so it's a real positive seat. I don't need any lock washers. I just want to show you this on here. If I left it in the drill mode, it's never gonna stop. I always like to use the clutch so I don't strip things out.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna take it back. I usually bring it to about 9 on this drill, and we're gonna bring it in just like this. And you can see how it sucks if I put it in forward, and you'll see how it sucks, and you'll hear it. See that? That's why you have a clutch, so you don't strip out screws. I'll have you do the next one.
Sounds good. All right.
One more thing I want to point out, and we're going to do on this to finish the machining. See how this is a hard 90 right here? Okay? Hard 90 here and hard 90 here. The majority of the time we're going to be using this, because I have it turned around, is this is our leading edge, and I don't want it to catch on anything. So while I'm doing it, I'm just going to break the edges, and you'll see how we'll do this. I'm just going to take this block plane, and I'm just going to take it, and just ever so slightly, it just found its flat again, and you'll see that coming right off like that, and that's called breaking the edge, ever so slightly.
That's awesome.
I'm going to do the leading edge here.
Okay.
Okay, and just come in here like this, and that's all it is. Look, just 2 or 3 passes, just taking care of that.
All right.
So there you go, guys. It's really easy. We got the chamfered edge that way there. When I come, I don't get that hit here. I can get it started with the router. I don't have that dipping in and dipping out.
That's awesome.
Okay, you have so much more registration now. It is also going to be a safer routing operation. So as we always end this,
be positive.
stay sharp.